Hi, welcome to Touching Grass podcast, a podcast consisting of two Midwesterners and two Appalachians who got sick and tired of the very online discourse and so did what four people do. We started a podcast, which you are listening to online. Self-awareness, it's something we're good at here.
Charles, I was once told that starting a podcast in your 30s and 40s or whenever you do it for guys is like girls getting bangs. And I think that's an apt analogy.
Well, I think we are all having a crisis of sorts with, the world as it is. So it's fitting to an extent.
Yeah, not a bad time to shout into the void about whatever really grinds your gears. But so we're one Midwesterner down. So we haven't. I think Charles is with us. Chris is going to hop on here later. So it's just Woods, Charles, and Adam.
Appalachian Majority podcast episode.
Yep. Again, we got to work on the tax breaks here, Adam. We got to get this. We got to get an LLC going. We got to get some kind of tax break going. Some kind of, I don't know.
In order to do that, we would first need revenue.
That's a good point. And I was, I don't know if you guys heard. It's kind of a weird non sequitur. But Mark Maron, who does the WTF podcast, like they're going to wrap it up. And my first, and I think he's getting tired. I think he wants to do other things. I think he's looking to do more acting and directing, whatever. That's okay. It's not one of the podcasts that's in my mandatory, listening. I dip into it here and now. But my first thought was somebody commented like, yeah, they're not making any money anymore. And I just have to stop and remind people, like, you can do this for pennies on the minutes. Like, I think I think the first year of this podcast is going to cost each of us $20. Like, it's super simple. I mean, all of the editing software I use is free. The only thing that we pay for is StreamYard to record it. And then I think we pay SoundCloud to distribute it, our RSS feeds, but it's dirt cheap. I mean, I spend more money in a couple months on booze than that. So,
but because nobody's paying us to do this, we don't record super regularly.
Oh no, that was the other point I was going to make. It's been a couple of weeks since we did this because, like you said, we generally have four people on the podcast, and it takes it basically takes AI to get us all to schedule an hour.
So if on the off chance you want to hear from us more often, you should pay us to read some ads.
Right. I was listening to it's a Puzzle in a Thunderstorm, the guys that do cut off of movies and Scathing Atheists and all that, and they had a string of ads that they were just like, I can't imagine whoever paid them to read those was happy about the way they read them, because they were throwing in a lot of Epstein references and stuff. So they even mentioned we just got that advertiser back, and you're doing this, great. Yeah,
I'm going to go out on a limb just because Adam doesn't shave, and neither do you or I Woods. I don't think Harry's is going to sponsor us.
Okay, I actually do.
Every 2 days.
You are a terrible human being, but go on.
Yeah, I shave the dome every 2 days, and actually, I was going to offer Adam. I guess the question here to really touch grass in our day-to-day lives. Adam, are you a gel or foam shaving cream guy? Because I make my own shaving soap. That's pretty. It's the tits.
I'm a foam guy. I and I mean, I wish they were paying me to read this ad, but they aren't and never will. I'm just a Barbasol guy, as traditional as you can go. If there's something more traditional than that, I would get that.
Yeah. But no, I got into making soap and making my own beard balm that I used to get my beard from being all fluffy. Because one of our fraternity brothers, he has his own soap company, Black Star Soaps, and they are awesome. And he told me, he was like, "This is simple, Justin. If you can make beer, you can make soap." So I started making my own soaps. Anytime I get a wild hair up my ass to make some nice soaps. And shaving soap is just a variation of that recipe with a little bit of clay and some other things in there.
My home hobby has been, so I've been ranting on this podcast for forever about how the deer eat fucking everything I plant.
Uh-huh.
Well, I discovered the things that they will not eat, and that is hot peppers, strong smelling herbs. So my entire front flower bed and some pots to the side of the house and some raised beds out back is habaneros, Tabasco peppers, serrano peppers, ghost peppers, mint, sage, lemon balm, every strong smelling herb I can plant, every hot pepper variety I can think of. The problem is it's hard to eat all of those peppers that I'm growing right now. So I've started pickling them.
I was going to say, what about salsa?
Oh, so Adam, I actually have a good one for you.
Mm-hmm.
With if you're able to get like a really robust habanero,
mm-hmm.
don't pickle it, candy it whole, and have it dry so that it's open, and then you sip your whiskey out of it.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like spicy drinks, except for Bloody Marys. That's an exception. But
we lost Woods.
We did lose Woods.
So yeah, you should. I'm telling you, just even if you don't like sip your whiskey out of it, they do make an excellent garnish for other drinks.
All right. Because I'm now at this point, I'm gonna have to go get some more jars because I'm working on at this point an entire couple of shelves in the basement full of jars of pickled various hot peppers.
I'm telling you, man, candy some of them.
Huh.
They are excellent garnishes, and also they're quite tasty when you candy them.
All right. Well, I will.
But you're also talking to a Wisconsin man who makes bacon wrapped brats and candied bacon, and I am officially the world's worst Jew. All right. So first item on the actual agenda.
Yeah.
What fun things have you done so far this summer with friends and family? I'm going to start because I let us off with the intro. So in June, my wife and I and our two kids went on our family's annual trip to Ogunquit, Maine for a week with my in-laws, my little brothers-in-law, and a lot of other relatives. And we dragged my little brother up from Philly for the trip too. So we spent a week kind of with 10 people crammed into a beach house, and that was just really relaxing. And then I had exactly enough time to get back to Wisconsin and kind of settled in before I needed to leave again to go see a dear friend of mine who I met through a political campaign over 14 years ago at this point. Finally get married. So then on my way back from that wedding, I got to hang out in person with Adam for the first time since Adam got married. So we should really do a better job of touching grass together.
We should.
I mean, everybody should. I mean, there's so many people either in our friends and family that you're always yeah, we got to get together, and we never do because we're so busy. But I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
Adam, what have you done so far?
Honestly, this has not been a super fun summer for me because the amount of construction and maintenance that I've had to do in my house because it is falling apart has made me not want to spend the money for a vacation, and has also been kind of time consuming. But my wife and I did make it out to the Charleston Sternwheel Regatta, which is a week-long event and concert series in Charleston, West Virginia, which is, honestly, I can't recommend it highly enough. It costs basically nothing to attend. This is a really low cost of living area, and it's about a 4-night concert series with bands you mostly have heard of.
Yeah, I remember those. That's a fun event. Yeah, that's good stuff. I, like yourself, Adam, have been super busy this summer. Other family issues means that like we were not going to take a vacation. Our standard vacation is to go spend a week at Riceville Beach, North Carolina, with my family, but we couldn't make that trip. But I did get to, just this past weekend, I got to do some touching grass on a couple of fronts here. I got to actually go and spend time with at our Adam and I's national convention, the Alpha Sigma Phi national convention in Orlando. So we spent 3 days actually being like brothers with brothers instead of doing it on Zoom and shit like we had to during the pandemic and everything. That was fun. A lot of training, which was not fun, but the rest of it was fun. And since it was Orlando, my dad lives in Clearwater. I have to see him for a couple days, and it's been way too long since I see my dad, which is on me. But yeah, it was fun. The funny thing about going to visit my dad is his wife is one of those people. It's like if people come to visit them in Florida, they're like, we have to, you have to entertain them every day. Like she gets up in the morning, she's like, so what do you want to do today? I was like, well, I was going to read by the pool for, I don't know, 6 hours. Just leave me alone. I'm a very low key vacationer. And she's like, well, we could go to like, Disney or Orlando. I'm like, you need to pump the brakes. That's not a vacation for me. That's more work.
Yeah. That's a death march. Don't do Disney.
Yeah. Well, my dad, because when her kids and their grandkids come in, it's like you said, it's a death march. And my dad even said, he dropped me off at the Tampa airport, he's like, hanging out, vacation, when you visit, it's so much more enjoyable because you just, we sit around, we have some beers, maybe we'll make dinner at home, maybe we go out, but it's never like a pressure to do something. But with, that's just how I was raised. Vacations are a time to relax. I'll never forget years ago, I went on a vacation with several friends, like 5 or 6 friends, and my wife and I, and we went to an all-inclusive resort. Mm-hmm. And the first day, like we get there, we have dinner, we go to sleep, we wake up the next day, and they find us, my wife and I, out on the beach, and we're like in chairs underneath a palm tree. It's an all-inclusive resort. They just bring you drinks. And I've got like 3 margaritas on the table beside me and a book out. And they come up and they're like, so what are we doing today? It's like, gentlemen, you're looking at it. Like, this is all I'm going to fucking do today.
Yeah, like two summers ago, my wife's company, they'll send you every 5 years, they'll send you and your family anywhere in the world.
Nice.
For a month. And they'll basically pay you enough to, have your accommodations and flight paid for, which is a pretty sweet deal. So my wife Eva decided that we should go to Amsterdam for that summer. Now there are a lot of touristy things you can do in Amsterdam, and we
imagine,
and we certainly did quite a few of them in terms of museums and traveling around Holland and the zoo and the botanical gardens and all that. But really, like, most of that trip was us just having a very unstructured time with our son, Chili, walking around a super walkable city when we felt like it, having dinner when we felt like it.
Yeah.
And going to museums when we felt like it. And the only part of the trip that we really had to book was our tickets to the Van Gogh Museum. We had to schedule that. And our lunch at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, because, well, you have to make a reservation
right
for that.
It's not like catching a table at Applebee's. You got to plan ahead for that guy.
Yeah, but and this is even with the Dutch being particularly conscientious about forcing people to make reservations. Even still, we were able to just be like, okay, maybe tomorrow we'll do this, but let's not get too locked into a plan. That's what vacation is. Yep. Vacation is not like, I am doing whatever tourism death march thing where my entire week is regimented down to like 15-minute increments. Who the fuck enjoys that? And what's wrong with you?
I mean, there is a type of like, and I think it's an overstatement to say it's like type A personalities like that, but there's a type of person that whenever they go on vacation, they're like, okay, so I'm in this place that's different than home. I have to see everything I can't see at home. I have to go to every restaurant I can't, all that. Just wring every experience out of a 7-day trip that is, in my opinion, I agree with you, Charles, is more work than it is relaxing. Like,
I mean, I don't even think that's type A. I'm an elected official. I have multiple business ventures that have started. I've been in executive leadership roles for years.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming. That's an overgeneralization. Just say,
like this is not a type A thing. This is like
it's a weird thing.
Yeah, this is just some people are like incapable of accepting any degree of spontaneity or like enjoyment of the thing that they're doing into their lives. They just need to be able to check the box that they've done it.
Yeah.
Adam's looking at me with this look of intense disagreement and skepticism. I think we found the serial vacation planner in our midst.
I don't think so.
No, he builds his vacations the way he does his clients, 6-minute increments.
Yeah.
So you are misidentifying who in this marriage is responsible for our vacations being overbooked.
I mean, having had several conversations with your wife, I can kind of see that. I can see her wanting to do too many things at once because that's kind of her persona. Like she has her finger in a lot of pies at all times. Yeah, so
she did most of the travel planning for our honeymoon, and it was a 2-week vacation. And when I got back, I was fucking exhausted, and I needed a vacation.
Yeah. When we planned our honeymoon,
well, Adam, if you're not exhausted after your honeymoon, you've done a few things wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah, when my wife and I got married, she wanted to go to an all-inclusive resort, and I was like, sure, man, that sounds great, But I was like, she was actually working full time, and I was still finishing up grad school, and my first semesters. And so she was like, I'll book it. Don't worry. I was like, I trust you. So we went to the Dominican Republic. We had a blast. The funny thing is that we also realized that an all-inclusive resort, you really do need to eat lunch because there was like a 2 or 3 day span there. Yeah. You get up, have an amazing breakfast with champagne, walk out onto the pool or beach, and they're just throwing margaritas at you. And then we found ourselves obliterated by 4 p.m. and ready to go to bed. And we're like, we did that one day. And we're like, we should really do lunch. And so, we hit up lunch the next day and we were able to even it out. But that's just because we were, I'm a lush. She's much better than I am. But yeah.
You did lunch. You did a liquid lunch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad everybody's doing something. Anybody got plans for the rest of the summer, fall? That anything's jumping out at you?
Well, next week I actually am on vacation, quote unquote. The first 3 days, Monday through Wednesday, I am catching up on my yard work and housework, and then Thursday through Sunday, I'm going backpacking out in Cranberry Wilderness.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So next Friday, I celebrate 16 years with Eva.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah. It will be 16 years to the day that we hung out before classes started for our senior year of college. And oops, then we were dating.
That happens.
Yeah, kind of figured, well, when the hell am I going to see this person after we graduate anyway? Let's see if there's something there. Turns out, when the hell am I going to see this person after I graduate anyway is most mornings, and most evenings, and she's pretty awesome. So,
congratulations! So you said next Friday? Is that what you said? This Friday?
Yeah, August 15th.
August 15th. Okay, yeah. What? Rachel and I will celebrate our 20th anniversary on September 17th. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. All right, so we have encouraged everybody to go out, do stuff, meet friends, touch grass from a real person. Now we have to talk about some really online bullshit. and we just are really just going to keep track of it. So we have a continuation of the Epstein saga, and since we last recorded, we've had a couple really strange things happen. So the last time we talked, there was this back and forth with Donald Trump could not shut up about the fact that they were not going to release the Epstein files. Remember, they said they had the list, then suddenly didn't have the list, then they said it wasn't a big deal. No, there was no client list. Donald Trump would not shut the fuck up about it. So of course, some Republicans are really pushing them hard, and a lot of Democrats really pushing them hard to release all the documents. They said it was basically they're saying it's too sensitive to release them. They're not going to release them. And then Congress left early, so they didn't have to talk about it. So there would be no votes on releasing the Epstein files. Did we talk about the DOJ meeting with her before last? I don't think we talked about that last time.
I don't think we did either.
Yeah. I think that's the breakoff point of last time I recorded. So since the last time we recorded, in a very rare move, the number 2 at the DOJ, what is that guy's name? You guys know? He is Donald Trump's personal defense attorney for his bullshit in New York. So big conflict of interest. They gave Ghislaine Maxwell basically the queen for the day treatment, where she was given limited immunity to meet with him for 2 days straight. So now Donald Trump is calling that transcript needs to be released. She was then moved to a minimum security prison, which is something that shouldn't. And I know, Adam, you're not a criminal lawyer, but if I'm not mistaken, there's no way that somebody that has done the type of sexual or abusive crimes that she's done would end up in a minimum security prison.
Todd Blanche, that's the guy's name.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I have discussed this briefly with some law school classmates of mine who are criminal defense attorneys.
Yeah.
And they couldn't say that it's never happened before, but they've never seen it happen before.
Right. I mean, I would never ask a lawyer to tell me 100% this has never ever happened, except with something just blaringly in a legal field. So she's basically getting all of the accoutrement she can by playing ball with Donald Trump's DOJ. And since then, Donald Trump has also said some really weird shit. So apparently in oh crap, I lost it. So apparently on, was it the 28th? I'm trying to find the byline. Yeah, July 28th, Donald Trump's when questioned. So he had this long rambling press conference when he was in Ireland, and he just of course, just Donald Trump gets so much slack because he's kind of a performer, and the shit he says just doesn't make sense. But he says it in a way that like people translate it to he knows what he's talking about. But if you listen to the shit he says in this presser, it's bonkers. And apparently he said when asked about Jeffrey Epstein that he never had the privilege of going to Epstein's island, and everybody just kind of said, "What now? What was that?" So that's not good. But then he also said that later he talked about Jeffrey Epstein stole some of his young underage women from his Mar-a-Lago staff and hired them on. And he was very upset about that. And that's why he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, which is kind of a 180 from everything he said before.
So let's break that down and talk about what Trump actually said, because I think the way you phrased it might be suggesting some things that are a little beyond what Trump had said.
I am, because it begs the question, what did he know and when? But please, go ahead.
So, Virginia Giuffre, who is identified as one of Epstein's victims, she herself has disclosed that she was one of Epstein's victims. I mean, this was in the 90s. She was 40-something during her most recent disclosures. But she recently took her own life. There's no conclusive statement that it was related to any of this Epstein stuff, but Donald Trump was later asked about this and asked about his statement, which he said that despite earlier statements, which were that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. He said in this instance, he kicked him out because he was basically poaching staff.
Right.
And then a reporter asked him if some of those staff were maybe underage that Epstein had poached, and Trump said that maybe they were. And then this reporter specifically asked him if Virginia Giuffre had been one of the staff at Mar-a-Lago that had been poached, and he confirmed that she was, that she had been underage at the time, and that she had been working in the spa at Mar-a-Lago.
Right, and if you put those two hands together, it tells me that he at some level he knew what was. I mean, he knew what was going on, and he was.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case.
I mean,
we don't want to overstate. Whatever. We don't want to overstate what the evidence points to. Right. It is very possible. Like one, we don't know what her job in the Mar-a-Lago spa was. She could have been a receptionist. She could have been a housekeeper. There's no necessary conclusion that she was doing anything sexual there.
No. And the reason you're exactly right, but yeah. I will say that the reporting is that Ghislaine Maxwell hired her specifically because she was looking into being a masseuse. Like she was looking into physical therapy and massage. She had a book. The story that has been reported is that Ghislaine Maxwell noticed her while she had a massage therapy book in her hand and said, "Hey, if you want to come work with us, we will pay for you to be certified as a masseuse." That leans very heavily into some kind of a contact role. Now, I'm sure, like you said, I'm almost positive she wasn't a masseuse at Mar-a-Lago. She was
right, because she wasn't licensed to do that. That would have been a huge liability issue.
Exactly. But here's the question I have: if you're a billionaire, why in the shit do you know that one of your staff was poached by Jeffrey Epstein? Unless it was like your personal assistant. Like that is the question I'm asking. Because if I'm a billionaire and I have a big Mar-a-Lago, like, are you telling me that if like the janitor misses work, Trump knows? Like that's the level of like minutia that this begs to argue.
I think the fact that Trump and Epstein were like pre-existing friends, and the fact that they had and now I don't know the timeline here, but they did eventually have a falling out that is documented by third parties about a real estate issue where Epstein eventually outbid Trump for a piece of property that they both wanted to buy, and they like had a falling out about that. Yeah. So Trump is notorious for holding grudges. It would not surprise me that he is personally aware that Jeffrey Epstein poached a staffer that he maybe before that didn't know their name.
Also, he did tend to treat Mar-a-Lago as a personal residence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not exactly an unreasonable assumption to assume that he would have known many of the staff there the same way he would have known many of the staff at Trump Tower when that was his residence. Like,
but it raises some questions, but I think we want to be careful to not overstate.
Right. If you were going to put a gun to my head, I would say that that Adam's interpretation of it, that he found out after the fact and was pissed because he was pissed at Epstein, makes more sense than he knew the people. Charles, I'm sorry, but I think that he like the people that work at New York, at Trump Tower and at Mar-a-Lago, he sees as things. That's the guy that stands by that door, and that's all the fuck he knows about him.
That may or may not be true, but at the same time, if it's a different guy who stands by the door, he's probably going to eventually notice. He might not think anything of it at the time, but he might find out about it later. My explanation is not incompatible with Adam's.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Emphasize that.
I agree. I would also like to float a theory that you could swap out Tiffany Trump and he wouldn't notice for months. He would just not notice. But so that there's a lot of weird entanglements there. It's just weird to say that shit, especially when you're trying to move on from this. You're trying to tamp this down. I mean, I know we're going to be on kind of a slow burn from this for I guess most of August until September when Congress comes back. But a couple of highlights that I thought were funny is that we talked about last time. We talked about this weird birthday letter. Jeffrey Epstein's estate has said flatly, yes, it exists. The book exists. and a couple Democrats. I think a Democrat and a Republican. I can't remember who. I think Massey, and somebody else. Massey and Ro Khanna. I could be making that up. You guys can check while I'm talking, but they've requested it from the estate. I mean, and I think that's a simple, just another like Trump's a liar. Here's the letter he wrote. Here's his signature as this woman's pubic hair. That's a good 3-day news cycle for me. I'm fine with it. But I talked to Adam said he talked to some mutual friends in law. I talked to Chris Parker, one of our mutual friends in Alpha Sigma Phi, also a lawyer, and he proposed, and I don't think he's wrong. I just don't know if this is I don't know Trump's play here, but pardoning Maxwell, in my opinion, and I think we talked about this in the chat, is absolute political suicide. But I don't think he cares. My friend Chris was saying that he thinks that's the last pardon out the door for Trump in 2028. But I mean, part of me thinks he doesn't care. Why would he wait?
Well, because he still has some time left that he wants to implement his agenda.
I can entertain that.
But we don't know what was said between Ghislaine Maxwell and Todd Blanche in that room.
They are trying to release. Apparently, there's an audio recording.
Yeah, there's an audio recording,
and they are claiming they're going to release it now. Adam, you're an attorney. Woods and I aren't, but typically with proffer sessions, I'm guessing those aren't really. It's not common to release those.
Typically with what?
With a proffer session, it's not common to release that.
I'm not that kind of lawyer.
But, I mean, if she signed off on it and the DOJ signs off on it, I'm sure that they could.
They can. It's just
it's one of those.
I'll say that in the civil litigation sector, I would rather like commit samurai style seppuku than release audio recording of me interviewing a witness like off the record. But
yeah. No, nobody wants themselves to be filmed doing their job all day long and have that just randomly released when you're not prepared for it. I kind of get that vibe.
I also just don't know how much that would really help him with the skeptical faction in his base, because they're already the people who are in that faction in Trump world, they're all kind of already predisposed to believe that authority figures are lying to them. So how much of a stretch would it for them to believe that the DOJ communicated to Maxwell what she was to say in response to the questions in advance?
I think it'll do him some favors with the people who are predisposed to want him to not be implicated in this, and are really just kind of looking for a pretext and like a fig leaf to both maintain their Epstein obsession and also their Trump support.
Yeah.
Those are the people that it will do him a favor with. Because right now, the problem is with the way that he is behaving about this and obfuscating and getting the House Republicans to block the release of these files, like it's already public knowledge that he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. It is already public knowledge that he was a personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. It's already public knowledge that he was like doing he's made some kind of sexually coded weird remarks about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So that suggests that with the news cycles that he's getting out of this obfuscation and blocking series of events, which are really negative for him, what that suggests is that whatever's in there is worse for him than this news cycle. And releasing anything would give that crowd of Epstein obsessives who are also Trump supporters a fig leaf, a pretext to maintain their Trump support. That's what he gets from it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the influencers, the people that are just waiting for something to pivot to, will take that up and run with it. Alex Jones is already just like beside himself because the narrative he spun last week is different than is 180 degrees from the narrative he's trying to spin this week. Mainly because he's picked the wrong narrative to start with. He should have just been like, it was the Clintons. They put the wrong stuff in the files. Whatever comes out about Donald Trump that's bad is their fault. Like, you should just run with that. Just make some bullshit up out of the whole cloth, you know. But yeah.
They're already doing, like, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in 2019. There were 4 years of Biden being president and Merrick Garland being attorney general, and who knows whether they doctored the files. Like, they're already doing that. So
well, yeah,
like,
they're actively forgetting. They're actively forgetting. Yeah, they're actively forgetting who was president in 2020. Like, that's the thing. And I think we talked about this in the chat. It's so fucking annoying that a lot of the right-wing talking points of trying to just post through this are just ignoring the actual historical timeline. Like, they're trying to man in the high castle this shit. And it works because people are just like, oh yeah, like I know there's like this ethos in America that we have elections on November 5th, but you know, they don't leave fucking office on November 5th. You know, they're not all standing outside the White House looking at a big CNN screen or whatever, waiting to see who wins so they can go back. You know, either Biden goes back in or Trump goes back in or Biden goes in. Like, there's months until they change office. I don't know. People just don't fucking understand that, or they just want to be lied to. I don't know. That bothers me. But I'm still happy to keep the pardon clock going. I'm so interested to see if he actually pulls the trigger on this. I think he will eventually, but you know, we'll get there. Who was it that wanted to talk about our next topic? I can give a background. Candace Owens has fucked around and found out in a way that is absolutely amazing.
This was an Adam topic, actually.
Yeah,
it was.
Do you want me to give everybody a quick background on who Candace Owens is and how much of a shitty person she is?
Fire away.
All right. So Candace Owens is a conservative activist. That's her framework of herself. She once testified before Congress and was very pithy about the fact that all the Democratic she was there to talk about how racism really doesn't exist in America, and all the Democratic congressmen just said that she was a conservative activist, and she made this big stink about it. She's like, "You're trying to reduce my entire being into one sentence." Well, that's the sentence she put down to describe herself when she signed in to testify. So she started her political career when she was in high school, and I don't want to say that this started her political career. I'm just saying this is something that happened to her when she was in high school. She was a victim of a hate crime by the children. I believe it was the son of the mayor of the town. Sent her racist threats, death threats, and things like that. They were found and they were convicted. They were prosecuted, and this was kind of her wake up that she lost her narrative during that whole thing. Like, people called her a liar. People didn't believe what she said. And it 100%, she was a victim of a hate crime. Candace Owens, if anybody doesn't know, was an African-American woman. And she was indeed a victim of this hate crime. She went on from there to become more public and more public persona because she felt like she had been wrong. Because, like I said, people weren't listening to her story. They were calling her a liar. The first thing she did was she initially interned for Vogue, and then she got some public attention when she started a website that was called Degree 180, which is supposed to dox bullying, because she had been bullied, so she wanted to make sure that anybody could report their bullier. And everybody on the right and the left was like, this is a bad idea. You're just going to dox random fucking people for no reason, and it's not going to go anywhere. She then got involved in Gamergate because she kind of transitioned from this anti-bullying website to basically blaming the victims of Gamergate for focusing on her instead of on what had happened to them. It was this weird judo move where she was saying they're trying to expose how stupid her idea was because they are somehow lying and making money off Gamergate. It was very odd. It's very weird. That's where she took a hard political pivot. We've seen this time and time again. That's where she got really conservative because conservative media is just chewed up by the masses. Conservatives have a lot better media sphere for this stuff. So she started posting a bunch of pro-Trump stuff, anti-identity politics stuff on YouTube. She quickly got hired on at Turning Point USA. This was right when Turning Point USA was being criticized for just being really, really anti-Semitic, anti-black. They just really wanted. They had a lot of problems with their public identity, so they hired her. There's some discussion where they just hired her because she was black. But she would say all the things that they believe in. Then she got into Brexit in 2018. I'm sorry, Blexit. The black exit. She was lobbying for blacks to leave the Democratic Party because they said that there was nothing there for them. Then she was a PragerU contributor. I could do an entire podcast on how shitty PragerU is, but she was a PragerU contributor until she went to the Daily Wire from 21 to 24. She was shit canned at the Daily Wire for being overly anti-Semitic. It's kind of hard to be anti-Semitic when the owner of the company is a out and proud Jewish man. We can talk about Ben Shapiro all day long, but he had to bounce her. And so after that, she has decided to start her own podcast where she just spews a bunch of conspiracies, a lot of anti-Semitic bullshit. This woman is so anti-Semitic that Nick Fuentes, who is an out-and-out white nationalist, thinks that some of her Jewish conspiracy theories are bullshit. So we have a turducken of just stupid things going on. And one of the conspiracy theories that she has done an 8-part podcast about is that Macron, what's his first name? Emmanuel Macron's wife is really a man, and she did an 8-part podcast series about that, and has now been sued by the Macron family for defamation, which is really hard to prove for public people. That's not what I meant to say. A public person. But this is a slam dunk because there's really no evidence whatsoever that she's a man.
Okay, so not only is there no evidence that she's a man, there is. Okay, so the thing that is notable about the Macron's marriage is that Brigitte, the current first lady of France, is like 15, 18 years older than the president of France. And what we know about the world is that during the period of history where she would have been a child or a teenager, gender transition was
non-thing.
If it wasn't non-existent, it was vanishingly rare.
Right.
If you weren't getting your birth certificate altered.
Correct. And not only that, but just the particulars of Candace's theory here is that, and this is the especially stupid part of it, is that Brigitte is really her brother, and I'm blanking on what her maiden name was, but Jean-Michel.
Man, that's crazy. Did you catch the game last night?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
we're not going deep on this conspiracy, Adam.
Candace is claiming that her brother Jean-Michel transitioned and is now Brigitte. The problem with this theory is that Jean-Michel is still alive and they've been photographed together.
You can call this dude up and just be like, hey, are you alive?
He's a real person who is still existing. Yeah. He is not transitioned. He is still a man.
Yeah. This is just so silly. And the reason I don't want to talk about it, and I think it's a great thing to talk about, is because not only should we take every opportunity to point out how full of shit Candace Owens is about almost everything. Just about almost everything. But this has, like we've talked about, this has stumbled into real life. She has touched the grass, and this grass is mad. And this grass has sued her.
Well, no, she hasn't touched grass. That's the thing.
The grass has touched her.
Touch her.
Yeah. The grass has touched her because as hard it is to sue for defamation as a public figure, like they're gonna wreck her.
So the actual malice standard is that it's very high. It's very hard. You have to be saying something almost. So the standard is reckless disregard for the truth.
Yeah.
You have to either know that what you are saying is false or know that you do not know it to be true. So basically you have to know that you are bullshitting. And before this documentary came out, the Macron family reached out to Candace Owens and gave her the evidence that what she was saying was false. And she published this podcast series anyway.
Yeah.
Donald Trump
reached out to her and said, shut the fuck up. And she would not shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah. No, that's allegedly Macron took Trump aside at a diplomatic bilat and said, like, hey, you need to shut this shit down. This isn't true.
Yeah.
And here's how it's not true. And Trump, like, Donald Trump is convinced that this isn't true. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's convinced of a lot of things. I don't know if that's the best site that you think it is, Adam. He is convinced that a lot of things which are true are not true, and vice versa.
He is predisposed to believe conspiratorial bullshit, and even he thinks this is nonsense.
Yeah. It's funny, and I kind of want to. Part of me, we've talked about people being lured, because for some reason Laura Loomer has an outsized influence on this White House, and I kind of wonder where even is Laura Loomer the one that's like nudging Trump like, this is bullshit, you should go that direction with this? Or, I mean,
the unofficial White House personnel director, Laura Loomer.
Exactly. Like it's so amazing. I guess not amazing. It's so curious how that went about. But yeah, you're right. Donald Trump has reached out and told Candace shut the fuck up. She will not shut the fuck up. But yeah. So like everybody involved here has said they're taken to the Supreme Court. Well, first of all, I would like to point out that Candace Owens has, once she has been sued, once she ignored, the Macron saying, "Hey, cut it out. Here's the evidence," and they filed the lawsuit. They filed it in Delaware, and Candace did this well, first of all, she did almost an hour and a half sit down with Tucker Carlson where they talked about it, and Tucker was like, "Yeah, that's good stuff. You need to keep going with that," and she kept going on and on about how they filed it in Delaware, and the reason they filed it in Delaware because they know that the Bidens own Delaware. And I was like, no, they filed it in Delaware, you dumb shit. It's because every entity of your company is incorporated in Delaware. I'm not a lawyer, and I know how that works.
So
right.
Almost everywhere, because Delaware has for anybody who doesn't know, Delaware has a very complex court system around corporate law, which is why almost every corporation is incorporated in Delaware. Not all of them, but
so I am
tax break there too, right?
I am just gonna take a minute here, and I'm gonna say I think she knows that. She's pretty dumb, but you also have to remember that the way that the ideologically extreme influencer economy works is that they say crazy shit and their supporters are their supporters, and they're usually people who have formed a parasocial relationship with this host, regardless of whether or not the host has done literally anything for them ever.
Yeah.
And so she's just if she says it's the Bidens, she's really just doing this for her audience's benefit so that they can then, feel good about giving her money.
Yeah.
It's a very cynical and extractive thing. And, it's on her core brand.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's cynical. It's extractive. And it feeds into a larger conspiracy theory. Now, for people who think, oh, that's a great model, I should do that. That exact model, that exact sort of crazy thought is how Alex Jones ended up with $1 billion of personal debt forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and to your point,
she is on a similar path.
Yeah.
And I wish her speedy progress on that path.
Yeah. No, to your point, Charles, it's because I'm not wired like that. It fascinates me that she could just say that, knowing the opposite. She had to sit down with her lawyers, and they told him hey, listen, we're going to get sued in Delaware because all of our businesses are licensed in Delaware, and she's probably nodded yes, and then she went out and said that on the podcast. It's absolutely. I'm just not wired like that.
Do I need to do a discourse here on corporate personal jurisdiction, or do you think everybody?
No, we understand that. What I think is interesting in the correlation between Alex Jones and Candace Owens is also, once Candace Owens took the turn towards right wing media, she goes on the Alex Jones or InfoWars all the time now. She'll be on and off when she wants to talk to Alex about something. So like that immediately should tell you what kind of content she's spewing. Alex Jones once like complained that he didn't hire her before Ben Shapiro hired her, and I would have loved to have seen what Candace Owens would have done in InfoWars. But the correlation there is that because of their content, it just takes the right person to swing, just swing away. Like Hillary Clinton could sue Alex Jones to the center of the earth at any point in time if she wanted to, because of what he said about her. But she knows that's not productive. One, it will just boost his ratings to no end. It'll confirm every conspiracy bullshit thing he's ever said. And so like when these people talk like this, it just takes the right person to be like, all right, fuck it. We're gonna go to the mat here. I think Charles, I think you were saying like when people just go balls to the wall and they're ready to throw lawyers at it. Like, you just write your lawyer a blank check and say like, let's go. Now, Alex Jones did not want to write his lawyer a blank check. The Sandy Hook families did, and in this case, it's the Macrons for Candace Owens, and that's what we're gonna see. And I'm with you. I wish her the speediest path down this endeavor.
Yeah, she's probably gonna get the Peter Thiel to Gawker special from the Macrons, like, except they're gonna do it themselves instead of bankrolling.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. I'm all for this angry grass finding a person too online and dragging them down. So we're about 50 minutes into this. Take away the 2 minutes. Do we want to talk about gerrymandering, or do we want to talk about tariffs, or do we want to hold that off for when Chris is here?
Oh, let's talk about gerrymandering. I've got a.
All right. Yeah. Go with gerrymandering. I mean, I understand what's going on in Texas. I understand the point. I understand the rebuttal for Illinois and Michigan and California that Republicans. But take it away, Charles. What we got?
Yeah, so Donald Trump decided that he'd really like 5 extra seats in Congress because
I hate to stop you. He deserves 5 extra seats.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he can call it whatever he wants to call it. I'm going to call it whatever I want to call it. The result's the same. So he saw Texas and thought, well, we have majorities there, control every statewide office, so let's fucking go, boys. And they came up with a big, beautiful map that does an excellent job packing Democrats and cracking Democrats and gets Republicans up to a very large number of the seats in the Texas House. I think Democrats still have 6 when
it goes from 13 to 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it nets them 7 seats. So that's a good map. And Texas, though, has this long political tradition of people in the state legislature doing the thing where they just deny quorum. And that tradition goes back to 1870.
Yeah.
And has been executed a number of times in the intervening 155 years. But usually it's unsuccessful because the legislators blocking quorum either fracture among themselves and someone goes and then they have quorum and the bill passes, or the fines add up and someone goes home, or the legislators get caught. That does sometimes happen. In this specific instance, though, the legislators decided that they were going to leave the state, and they found friendly support in Democratic states where various high-profile Democrats also want to run for president. And so now we're just kind of at a point where the governor of Texas is claiming, based on an attorney general's memorandum, that he has the ability to cause the courts to remove legislators who do not attend the special session. This breaks with 155 years of Texans doing the dumb thing. And it will be interesting to see if the courts do or do not uphold this. Now, here's a wrinkle that I personally love, though. The legislators in Texas can personally accept any amount of money they might want to cover those fines.
Yeah.
In the form of a consulting contract. And it's not a bribe because of the way that Texas wrote its bribery statute. The Texas legislature also can't pass a rules package because it doesn't have quorum to fix this.
To change that, yeah.
This is the sort of dumb shit that a functional state would have fixed at some point in the intervening 155 years. But because we're talking about Texas, they didn't. I'm not a huge fan of this particular parliamentary process. It literally renders the state legislature incapable of doing anything for the entire duration of the broken quorum. So if anything in Texas happens, the legislature can't do anything about it. And it is actually kind of ridiculous that Republicans decided that they were so opposed to the way that minority communities voted that they needed to dilute that voting power to add Republicans, that they wanted to draw new maps, that the idea of the state legislature being completely incapable of doing anything was a risk that they were willing to run. That's not normal politics. It's just kind of stupid, toxic, and destructive. And the only people who benefit from it are the most extreme people in the country. And that's really not what we should be empowering, since we all theoretically need to live next to each other and deal with our shit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I would ask Adam and you to weigh on this. The question that comes up a lot is because now that Texas is doing this, and also I believe Greg Abbott has said that he is going to use the FBI to track down and arrest the fleeing House members, which is not a thing that the FBI does. They haven't committed any crimes. There's no federal jurisdiction there. But I guess I want to ask you guys. So this is a chaotic kind of brinksmanship shit. We've got people in California and Illinois and I guess Michigan saying that if Texas does this, they'll do the same. And I'm of two minds here. So I'm going to put a quarter in each one of you and just let you tell me what you think. Part of me is like, yeah, fucking balls to the wall. Let's do whatever we can to save democracy, because the Republican Party just is not going to do it. If we let the Republican Party steamroll the Democratic Party because, we just aren't going to, we're not going to bring the gun to the knife fight, then where are we going to be in 10 years? There's not going to be any type of guardrails. But the other part of me is like one of the parties, somebody has to stand up for fairness. Like you gotta stand up for like, hey, this is bullshit. I'm not going to do the same bullshit to fight the bullshit. But then again, I'm assuming there's some egalitarian world where we can all just agree to redistrict evenly, fairly. But I drink, so don't listen to me.
What I want is a nationwide prohibition on partisan gerrymandering.
That's good.
I want partisanship of a geographic area to be just as prohibited for consideration, actually more, because certain aspects of the Voting Rights Act still require you to consider race in certain aspects. But I want political gerrymanders to be as illegal as racial gerrymanders. And the only way that's going to happen is if neither party, is if both parties see that partisan gerrymandering at a national level can potentially be to their disadvantage. And we kill our argument in that respect if we unilaterally disarm.
Right. Well, wait a minute. If we unilaterally disarm by not gerrymandering ourselves, or get into a position where we can force nationwide?
Well, we are not. So a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering is going to have to get past a Senate filibuster.
Right.
Which means that both parties have to look at this map and say, if it's not going to kill us now, it's going to kill us later at some point in the future.
Yeah.
It has to be bad for both. Partisan gerrymandering has to be bad for both parties. And if the Democrats continue to put themselves in the position where it's only bad for them by enacting nonpartisan redistricting commissions in the states they control, then we're unilaterally disarming, and a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering can only be bad for Republicans. And we have to back away from that footing.
Yeah. Charles, I see you want to say something. I want to do. I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
No, I just want to say one thing, just some terminology here to back up what Adam is saying. What we're talking about when we talk about gerrymandering is what is referred to as the efficiency gap, meaning that what's the gap between the number of votes you get in a state or legislature and the number of and your representation from those votes. For example, when the Wisconsin House is extremely gerrymandered. I believe they fixed some of it, but the last number I heard was that for Democrats in Wisconsin to get 51% of the seats in the Wisconsin House, they would have to get somewhere upwards of 70% of the popular vote.
That was under our previous map.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about here. This efficiency gap of, you get 50% of the vote, you get, not 50% of the representation is what we're talking about when we talk about gerrymandering. So please, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I think of this, what I haven't already said, kind of breaks out into two buckets. The first one is if California and New York and the other states where Democrats have a trifecta, if that trifecta were inclined to pass mid-decade maximalist maps, and if the Republican states were to do the same thing, but for Republican maximalist maps, it would net out to a Republican advantage in that. So it's not necessarily a winning fight for Democrats to do. With that said, the only reason we're in this bullshit in the first place is because for a very long time, it's not just like the mid-cycle redistricting or the nonpartisan redistricting committee things, but the Democratic strategy against seeing their opponents go all in was, oh man, I should hire my lawyer. My lawyer will know what to do in court. And that strategy sucks. A, because it doesn't win. B, it doesn't win. And C, it really neglects all of the damage that can be done while you're waiting for the court to eventually rule. So in that sense, this particular quorum break was a move toward demonstrating an understanding by both the National Party and certain state parties that you can't meet your opponent going all in by folding for the next hand in a district court 6 months from now every time, because you're just going to lose to the rake. And for those of you who play poker, I'm very sorry. for this. For those of you who don't play poker and who have no idea what I'm talking about, folding is when you give up. So I don't like this strategy because I don't see it by itself leading to a win. But it does have the benefit of at least preventing a loss in the short term. And it has the additional benefit of giving Democrats a chance to cause a number of Republican members who will lose their seats in mid-cycle redistricting to get pissed off at Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately the only real way that this particularly dumb game of brinksmanship actually ends, is if the House Republican legislative leadership says to Trump and various other Republican state actors, cut this shit out. It's causing way too many issues within the caucus, and it's preventing us from doing things.
No, well, you already see the cracks there, because there right now is a bill to ban partisan gerrymandering introduced by a Republican House member from California. It's not going to get a vote. It's not going to pass, but you see the cracks.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to say something just real quick. It's like there are independent people that are out there doing this nonpartisan gerrymandering, getting an efficiency gap of 0. I'm just screwing around while I was listening to you guys, and I had ChatGPT redistrict Texas so to have a efficiency gap of 0. Now, the fun fact is it made this map. Doesn't tell me anything about the colors. I don't know what these fucking colors mean.
Yeah, you have to be real careful with that, man.
Yeah.
One of Wisconsin's DNC members asked ChatGPT to do the same thing, but a Democratic gerrymander for Wisconsin, and he posted the map, and it was, and Brian, if you're listening to this, I love you, brother, but that was the dumbest fucking map I've ever seen in my life. You never should have posted it.
Right,
it's not accurate at all.
Right. Of course, I would not trust. I would trust Grok to do the gerrymandering for Texas or Ohio or Wisconsin. My big question is what's going on with these white parts here that don't appear to be part of the state. But just offhand, I look at it and I don't see any like a big weird spirally dragon districts to like take a little bit of the black population here, a little bit over there. It could be done. Like Adam said, we just have to all get on the same page nationally.
And no, to respond to a couple of things that Charles said, no, it's not right now with the balance of what state legislatures are controlled by the Republicans, what state legislatures are controlled by the Democrats. The Democrats are not going to create on a national scale a mass gerrymander that is more advantageous to them than what the Republicans can create in states they control. So it's not a winning scenario, but it's a mitigating scenario.
Yeah.
Because it's not like if California and New York and Illinois lay down their arms and say we're not going to gerrymander, like Texas is going to decide to be a gentleman about this whole thing.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they will. And to be clear, I think that nonpartisan redistricting committees are, the way that many states have implemented them, objectively the most partisan redistricting committees. If you look at New Jersey's allegedly nonpartisan maps and you hold them up next to a hyper-partisan gerrymander, if you're doing a hyper-partisan gerrymander of New Jersey, you are still going to pack large chunks of Monmouth County and all of Ocean County into Chris Smith's district, because that's how you make sure that you have winnable suburban seats for other Democrats.
Now, if I were like drawing up our electoral system from scratch,
yeah,
like we would have like proportional representation by state. There would be 1,000 seats in the House. We would have party lists. Like every state would have at least one House member from both parties. But I am not drawing up our electoral system from scratch. So we gotta work with what we have.
Yeah, we gotta work with what we have. It's like the conversation we had before. Like, you know, if I say I want to throw out the Constitution of the United States, people like gasp, like, but they won't let me finish the sentence. Like, yes, and then we can make something up better or the same or, you know, whatever. Like, we don't get that option. It's fun to say it, but, you know, I'm not king yet. I mean, if I ever am in charge of the United States, Adam, you're on board. You're gonna make up the maps. All right. So we're a little bit long. I have, if you guys will permit me, I have a good touching grass story I'd like to relay to you guys. So we close this out.
Yeah. You talk about how you're an S tier husband, man.
Right. So I did some elite husband shit today, and I'll give you guys a little bit of backstory. So, so this last year, it's been a little bit hard for my wife. She lost her dad, so she's still trying to deal with that you know where that fits in her mind. Her mindscape and her life now, and then she had some health issues that she had to get through. So this year's been pretty tough for her. We in the past had 2 Yorkies. We named Pam and Jim after Pam and Jim from The Office, and they passed away a couple of years ago. And last year, about almost 2 years ago now, she told me, she's like, I feel like I'm ready to get new dogs. We should get new puppies. I said, all right, great. So we looked around, and one of the things her dad did before she passed away was put us in touch with a breeder in West Virginia that had Yorkies. Unfortunately, those puppies that we were kind of in line to get, they didn't make it. They were too sickly, and so that lady put us in touch with her sister, and was able to get us two Yorkies. My wife just loves Yorkies. She's a smaller dog person. I grew up with like big dogs, like Huskies, but but I'm also I have a bad habit of like telling them to jump up on me, and they just clobbered Rachel when we were dating. So she likes small dogs. So we were able to go pick up, we named them Frank and Charlie. And Frank and Charlie, they're named after Frank and Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The actors that play those two are Danny DeVito and Charlie Day, respectively. And so Rachel and I are huge fans of the show. Been watching since season 1. So we got Frank and Charlie. They're house cats. They each weigh like 15 pounds apiece. They're just And so I decided to have some artwork made up for her birthday, which is on Sunday. Don't worry, everybody. I'm not spoiling a surprise. My wife does not listen to this podcast. She has said, and this is a direct quote, I live with that podcast. I hear enough of it. So I had this artwork made up for her birthday. This is Frank and Charlie holding Frank and Charlie. Now, the elite thing I did today was not have this made, which I think this is pretty cool. The elite thing I did today and touched some serious fucking grass is I had it mailed to my work at Argonne National Laboratory, and it has been in like process forever. Like it's just like one stop or the other. And I woke up this morning and it said it was out for delivery. And I was like, well, shit, Argonne's closed. So I had 2 options. I could either go try to intercept this artwork from a post office person, or 2, if they deliver to Argonne, go to Argonne, because if they drop it off, there's got to be somebody to accept it. And I can get on Argonne on Saturdays and we can walk around. So I sat there, I tried to look it up on my phone, I tried to like call the post office, and I finally was like, fuck it, I'm getting in the car. So rather than go on the UPS website and try to like track it down and make get into my file, like make some kind of request, make sure to hold it here. I just drove to the post office, just got out there, put my feet on some grass, drove to the post office, talked to that guy at the Lamont post office, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that place is closed today. If you go over to the other place here in like 20 minutes, I bet you can get it." So I drove to another post office, and that lady was like, "Oh yeah, here you go." So like rather than just sit there online and try to like put in a request and try to like look at my profile on the United States Postal Service website, I just got in the car, threw on a podcast, drove down there, and got this fucking artwork, and I'll be able to give it to my wife tomorrow.
So 1, that's amazing. 2, back in my very early post-college employment days, Do you want to know the single most effective piece of career advice I received, Woods?
What's that?
Don't send an email.
Oh yeah.
Pick up a phone, call the person, or barring that, just go over and ask.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at how quickly you get a response.
Yeah. My two, like when I put my ass in the car and put on, I believe I listened to the Bulwark's George Conway Explains It All. That's what I was listening to on the way down there. Great podcast. But I had two options. My two options were, one, go find the person that has it in their delivery truck, because I know UPS will do this. I've had some mishaps with UPS where they're like, UPS was supposed to hold something, they put it out on the truck, and they're like, we'll tell you where the truck is. You can go get the truck. So I was either going to intercept it with the person or go to Argonne and talk to the gate guy and be like, hey, somebody delivered something here. Somebody had to have taken it. Where is it? You know, just do all that stuff in person. And I agree. But I was actually just super pumped that I was able to go there, snag it before Argonne, or snag it before Monday or Tuesday, because I wanted it, you always want to give your significant other the present on their birthday, right?
Yeah.
It's always shitty to be like, hey, I got you something. It'll be here on Wednesday. But all right.
Yeah. Well, I think Adam's just checked out of this topic because he's anxious about the slowly aging portrait he has hidden away in his house. And
that's what you guys don't understand. The reason Adam blurs his office is because there's a portrait behind him that is slowly aging.
Yeah, and he can't look at it because it'll like instantly age him to his current age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I apparently put it out in the open in a room that I go in on the regular basis because I like to live dangerously.
Yeah.
I've always said that about you. Adam is nothing but danger, ascots, and ancient mystical artwork.
It's actually been a long time since I've worn an ascot.
I might call bullshit on that, but that's okay.
Adam, the next time we do a bestie podcast, you and I, silk ascots, we're doing.
All right. Next time, ascot summit.
Yeah. If this doesn't happen, if the next time Chris and I have to bow out, you guys don't wear ascots, I will have words. We will have words.
Yeah, we're doing this, Adam.
We're doing it.
I wore them to YDA Cincy. You didn't.
Shots fired.
Well, because we didn't coordinate. If I'd had the memo ahead of time.
I told everyone I was going to do this, you included.
Nice. All right, Charles, you want to wrap it up for us since you were the host today?
I was the host? Oh shit. That was a mistake on y'all's part. All right, so now that we've touched grass for an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, we have reached the end of our noticed agenda. The meeting is adjourned.
It's the worst outro ever.
Don't worry. Everybody, you should be able to find this podcast on YouTube, anywhere you find your podcast, except for Apple iTunes is still stiffing me. We'll figure that out. But say goodbye to the nice people, everybody.
Bye, nice people.
Bye, nice people.
Good fucking luck, America.
Okay.